You need to accept the fact that you cannot change how he treats his wife behind closed doors. I hate to say this to you, but it is not worth playing the hero.
I don't want to play the hero. I just can't sit back and let this happen when I know I can help. I've been letting things like this go my whole life, and I can't do that anymore.
This is the world that you live in, Derek. This is reality. It is not your job to save this girl.
I grew up with a lot of domestic violence around me. I had in my family, I've seen a lot of my family members get hurt, some of my cousins, some of my close friends actually, and the character Derek was a little loosely based on me. The fact that I've always felt like there's something I should be doing about the people in my family getting hurt, and I never really had the chance to, and I've always wanted to, and I mean, maybe it's a good thing I didn't, but at the same time, I felt like something needed to be done about it, and I thought it was almost like therapy, kind of writing this script where something is done about it. Somebody was finally sick of it. He had the opportunity to do something, and he stepped up and he did something that was in his heart that he felt was right, and he was willing to accept the consequences for his actions to save somebody who was in need.
I really like the idea of opening up the dialogue on the domestic violence issue. I don't necessarily find this film to be a template for how one should act, since, you know, you have an EMT who's doing his job and going rogue. However, this is obviously a very sensitive issue for anybody who has experienced domestic violence, anybody who's had that in their lives. It does not exonerate anybody, and it does not necessarily say, sweep this under the rug. It doesn't say, go rogue, quit your day job, and kick somebody's ass. It says, here's an issue, here's how one person handled it, and it opens up a dialogue for other ways that this could be handled. And I find that to be a very positive way to start a dialogue on the issue.
Derek was a very interesting and sometimes challenging character. When you first see Derek, he's a new EMT, he's starting a new job, a new life, but far too often our past has a way of sneaking up on us, and he's faced with a domestic violence case. And for him, it was the turning point in his character. He had enough. He didn't want to deal with this again, and he decides to take action. Now, some may call it extreme, but for him, it was the only way for him to get it out there and let people know what's happening and try to stop it in the best way he could.
It's unique because it's not the feel-good type of story. It leaves you thinking, and actually, in a sense, it makes you, especially with what happens at the end, you almost don't like the main character in some sense, which hardly happens in films, but it really makes you think about why he did what he did, and okay, how can you do it differently? Like, how could you do what he did, but not by how he did it? And it does allow for a huge amount of interpretation and conversation over the entire issue in and of itself.
Honestly, when I first read the story, I thought it could be a feature. I mean, you'll see, it's very, very interesting. Even from the beginning, it's like you want to learn more and more about these characters. You meet Derek's sister, Darcy, very briefly, and you're kind of like, all right, what's going on with her and their relationship? You kind of want to learn what is the backstory between these two characters. Brianna, she is introduced, and then, you know, she kind of comes back in a couple little scenes, and you're kind of like, what's going on there? You know, where does she fit in with maybe the other paramedics that they all work with? And, you know, she and Derek both had the same FTO, Patrick. So, you know, when I initially read it, I thought it was really interesting, and I honestly thought that this could turn into a feature film, and who knows, maybe someday it will.
I have worked with Brandon before. I've never DP a short for him before this. I worked as a second camera operator before, and so we knew each other. We were friends, and he came to me and Matt Nardone about shooting this film for him, and I liked that because what he wanted for this is he wanted people to take it seriously, and we felt that the way to take it seriously was to have the whole production run as professionally as possible. And so he came about it as a I want to be able to show this film as high end as it could be, so that people really get that I'm serious about the message, and he was.